Welcome to today's explainer. I want you to think for a second about a time you found an old photograph tucked away in a drawer somewhere. It's really just a piece of paper, right? But somehow that fragile little square can hold the immense, heavy weight of time, memory, and even loss. Today, we're diving into a brilliant piece of literature that captures exactly this feeling, Shirley Tolson's poem, A Photograph. We're going to break down how a simple snapshot from the past can pull us through decades of human emotion. Let's get into it. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be exploring the poem through three distinct chronological phases that the author lays out for us: the girlhood in the picture, the memory of looking at the picture, and the silence of the present day. Finally, we'll wrap up by looking at how this text builds comprehension and empathy. Okay, here is our primary source text. Take a look at the physical structure of the poem on the page. Notice how it's divided into three separate stanzas. The textbook notes actually ask us to draw attention to this structure, and there's a very good reason for that. You see, the physical breaks on the page literally mirror the passage of time in the narrative. And this perfectly illustrates the chronological arc we're going to be following, because time is the true underlying subject of this piece. We start off with the poet's mother at around 12 years old. Then we jump forward a massive 20 to 30 years when the mother is an adult looking back at that exact same photo. And finally, we jump again to the present day, where we learn the mother has been dead for nearly 12 years, which is the exact same amount of time she had been alive in the photograph. It's a beautifully tragic full circle. Let's dive into phase one, the girlhood. To really anchor this emotional journey, the textbook poses a fantastic comprehension question right off the bat. What does the word cardboard denote in the poem? Now, what's super interesting here is that the poet doesn't say the photograph shows me or the picture shows me. She explicitly says the cardboard. Cardboard denotes something cheap, right? Something that wears down, frays at the edges, and degrades over time. She's intentionally using a word that implies physical fragility to describe how we hold on to memories. So what exactly is on this piece of cardboard? The camera captured a highly specific, innocent scene, frozen in time. We see the poet's mother, the big girl, at about 12 years old, flanked by her two younger cousins, Betty and Dolly. They're holding hands, smiling through hair blown by the wind at the uncle who's holding the camera. It's a sweet face, the poet notes, a face that existed long before the poet herself was even born. The text tells us the girls went paddling. The source material prompts us to infer the meaning of this word from the context. It simply means walking or standing with bare feet in shallow water. It immediately sets a carefree seaside holiday mood. I mean, you can almost feel the cold water and the warm sand right between your toes. But here is where the poem takes a really profound turn. The poet contrasts two very different things: the sea, which they're paddling in, and their feet. The poem reads, "And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet." Think about that stark juxtaposition for a second. The sea is permanent, eternal. It's a force of nature that outlasts all of us. But human life, human feet, that brings us to a crucial point. Understanding this word, transient, it means lasting only for a short time, impermanent. The sea washes over feet that will inevitably grow up, age, and pass away. The author uses this one word to suddenly inject this heavy sense of mortality right into the middle of an otherwise cheerful childhood beach scene. Moving on to phase two, the memory. Leaving the childhood beach behind, the poem reads some 20, 30 years later. We get this abrupt and massive jump in time. The mother is now an adult, sitting with her daughter, our poet, and they're looking back at that cardboard snapshot together. The study notes ask another really great inferential question here. The poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate? Well, when the mother looks at the photo, she points out her cousins, Betty and Dolly, and literally laughs at how they were all dressed for the beach. This laugh indicates a deep nostalgia. It's that fond, maybe slightly embarrassed amusement we all feel when we look at our own awkward younger selves and terribly outdated fashion choices. It's a genuinely happy memory for the mother. But that happiness is complicated. The stanza ends with a major emotional climax. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. Just let that sink in. The mother experienced the loss of her youth in that carefree sea holiday. The poet, looking back from the present day, has now lost her mother's laughter. They share this profound sense of loss, forcing themselves to accept the passage of time with a labored ease. And that brings us to phase three, the silence. Shifting us abruptly into the harsh reality of the present day, the poem reads, "Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all." The final textbook question asks what this circumstance refers to. It refers to the agonizing reality of the mother's death. She's been gone for 12 years. The cycle is completely finished. The 12-year-old girl in the photo is gone, the laughing mother is gone, and only the grieving daughter remains, holding the cardboard. Its silence silences. This is the final line of the poem. The abstract reality of grief brings a complete and total absence of words. The empty space left behind by the mother's death is so loud, so overwhelming, that it literally silences the poet. There is simply nothing left to say. Let's move into our final section, analysis and comprehension. Stepping back from the raw emotion of the text for a minute, let's look at the educational goals laid out for us in the source material. Why is this poem included in a curriculum at all? Here we can see the think it out questions we've been tackling, alongside the educator's notes. The textbook explicitly uses the poem's 3 phases to test both factual comprehension, like identifying who is in the photograph, and inferential comprehension, like understanding the deeper meaning behind the mother's laughter or that powerful word transient. The notes outline some very clear source goals for the reader. First, to heighten sensitivity to literary writing by appreciating rhythm and sound patterns. Second, drawing attention to structure and word choice, which we definitely saw with cardboard and transient. Third, recognizing its thematic relation to another piece called The Portrait of a Lady, as both likely deal with memory, time, and female figures. But the absolute most important goal listed here is to establish empathy. By walking us through the mother's childhood, her nostalgia, and ultimately the poet's quiet grief, the poem forces us to step into the shoes of someone experiencing profound, universal loss. Which leaves us with this final thought. A simple piece of cardboard managed to bridge decades, connecting a 12-year-old girl on a beach to a grieving daughter years later. It forces us to ask, how do we preserve the memories of those we love when eventually there is nothing to say at all? Do we rely on transient memories or the fading cardboard artifacts we leave behind? It's definitely something to think about the next time you take a photograph. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.